Calum Chambers' instant impact sends Arsenal on way to Leeds win. When Mikel Arteta scanned a well-stocked substitutes bench for potential match winners, Calum Chambers' face would not have leapt out. So it was a turn-up for the books that his defender, who had not kicked a competitive ball in anger for 2 months and has barely appeared in a matchday squad since, breached Leeds within seconds of coming on and sparked an ultimately straightforward win. Chambers just about beat Illan Meslier with his first touch, and Arsenal's progression to the quarter-finals was in little doubt thereafter. Chambers had only been deployed because Ben White felt unable to continue after feeling unwell. His intervention was the cue for Arsenal to take complete control of a previously sterile game, and their second goal was a reminder of another talent whose career sits at a crossroads. Edin Nketiah's only previous football this season had come in the third round of this competition, against AFC Wimbledon. He scored in that game and squeezed in another here, although the path to salvaging a long-term future in North London still appears rocky for a player who needs regular starts at 22. Few people doubt his poaching instinct, but Arteta's post-match comments lean towards regret that he cannot find a place for Nketiah in his Premier League selection, rather than a pledge of future involvement. All the same, an 8th game without defeat spoke well of his fringe men's willingness to come in from the cold and suggested that Arsenal's depth, which has come into question, is significantly greater this year. It took several seconds for Chambers' first goal since September 2019 to be given, but the reaction spoke volumes. Emile Smith-Rowe, who joined White in remaining from the Premier League win over Aston Villa, had been relatively subdued but swung over a corner that Nketiah flicked on. Nicolas Pepe nodded back at the far post, and an alert Chambers, having run straight into Leeds' box, saw his header scooped out by Meslier. Eventually Andre Mariner signaled it had crossed the line and sparked an exuberant celebration in front of the technical area. "He totally deserved it," said Arteta of Chambers, who made a beeline for the set-piece coach Nicolas Jover as he raced towards the touchline. "It was a great moment because he helped us to win the game. He is someone who deserves the best for how he is as a person and a professional." There was something more to the acclaim Chambers took from his teammates, according to Arteta, who implied such a long spell out of the team had been difficult to take. Nketiah's situation has been similar, and his manager was thrilled when, after a woefully undercooked header back from Liam Cooper, the centre-forward nipped in to dink the ball past a stranded Meslier. Even if his subsequent finish was not clean, it did the job. Arteta was keen to stress that is what Nketiah always does. "I have no doubt over what he can offer," he said. "Whatever you throw at him, he wants more. I'm delighted to see the performance he had. I have full belief he will be a top player, and hopefully at Arsenal." Charlie Austin endured a miserable night as QPR's Cup hoodoo continued in a penalty shootout defeat to Sunderland. Austin thought he had scored a late winner to send Championship Rangers through to the quarter-finals of the Carabao Cup for the first time since 1988. But the goal was harshly disallowed for offside, and then Austin's agony was compounded when he missed the first penalty of the shootout. He was not the only culprit, though, with Ilias Chair and Johan Barbet also off target from the spot to send League One Sunderland through 3-1 on penalties following a goalless draw. Rangers' record in the Cups is little short of abysmal. Their 50 FA Cup third-round defeats is a record, while their supporters still shudder at the mention of Vauxhall Motors, their conquerors in 2002. And now they have been dumped out of this competition by League One opposition in each of the last 4 seasons. Lyndon Gooch released Leon Dejaku, whose shot was blocked by Rangers keeper Sini Dieng at his near post, before teenage midfielder Dan Neil slalomed along the edge of the Rangers area and forced Dieng into another save with a low drive. But Rangers began to dominate and almost went ahead through Barbet's pilladriver from the edge of the area, which was clawed out by Lee Burge. Chair was inches wide with a first-time shot from 18 yards, and Andre Gray played in Scotland striker Lyndon Dykes, who was also just off target as he slid the ball past Burge. Sunderland almost fell foul of a comical own goal when a sliced clearance from Frederick Alves narrowly cleared his own crossbar, and Burge saved again from Gray to keep it goalless at the interval. After the break, Austin volleyed Osman Kake's cross just over before the night's controversial moment came. Albert Adama's shot was deflected into the path of Austin, with Dennis Sirkin seemingly playing both onside. But as the veteran striker bundled the ball home, a flag was belatedly raised and penalties beckoned. Austin's spot kick was saved by Burge, and Rangers were frustrated in the Cup yet again. For that to happen, Nketiah will want at least a few more morsels of action before the quarter-finals in December. He was central to a bright start from Arsenal, who faded after the 20-minute mark and watched Leeds come closest to scoring during the first half. Jack Harrison's snap shot forced a solid parry from Bernd Leno, another player whose face is decreasing in familiarity, while Tyler Roberts saw a shot deflected wide after Rodrigo's clever dummy. In bursts, Leeds showed a semblance of the vim they have lost this season under Marcelo Bielsa, who made a relatively paltry 4 changes, but they lost their way after the interval. The game seemed well poised, but they never threatened again, and perhaps he overthought things in making 3 early changes. Clearly the differences between the first and second half came after the goal, Bielsa said, although he admitted he is responsible for the effects of the subs. Leeds' more pressing concern is a trip to Norwich on Sunday, and, in the long run, a full 90 minutes for the returning Calvin Phillips may prove the most valuable outcome from an otherwise bland night's work. Arteta will hope White, who had only played because Pablo Mari was suffering from a bug of his own, perks up in time to face Leicester. Martin Odegaard had also been due to start, but picked up a knock. For Arsenal, though, the good news is beginning to override the niggles consistently.